Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the opportunities to hear from automation professionals and interact with the teams on the platform channels. This is our last session of this year's conference. The topics we want to tackle now will circle back to some of the discussions from the beginning of the conference regarding the application and the implications of automation in areas beyond the business world, which could trigger a society-wide transformation. For this, we have invited at the virtual table guests that inspired us with their work in advancing ideas and new technologies. I will first introduce the guests to this panel. Welcome, Marco, Razvan, and Alin. Marco is a professor. Hello, hello. Do you hear me?
Hey.
Hi. Marco is a professor of computer science who took his vocation to a new level and actively advocates the need to transform the educational system, enabling the next generation to succeed in a fast-paced, changing environment. He is also the CEO of InteractIdeas, consultant in education, and coordinator of many EdTech projects with relevant institutions. And Marco will be exchanging ideas about technology in education and education through technologies. Also from the academic background, we have Razvan, who came to meet virtually after reading an intriguing title, The Bucharest Biennale to be Curated by AI. So we reached out to him to understand more how the job of a curator can be automated and what does it mean for the interpretation of creativity. With a wide variety of teaching experience on his CV, such as University of California, Lisbon University, Central University of New York, University of London, and Sofia University, Razvan is also a lecturer, author, and tech entrepreneur. And also, we challenge Alin Iftemi, to join us in this panel as a representative of a startup that builds the value in the ecosystem with another emerging technology, blockchain. As a tech entrepreneur with a dedicated declared passion for programming, Alin and his team created Modex, a tech startup that developed the first smart contract marketplace in the world. They also partnered with their technology with RPA to further enhance security and traceability of transactions, and they are out to solve more complex issues, as we will see from some examples of case studies. Thank you all for accepting the invitation to this panel. It will be a very interesting discussion. And I would kick the conversation with asking Marco, what do you see differently in education needs these days? And which do you consider to be the main pillars of the educational system, which will be able to support this transformation that we are talking these days?
Hello, Aurelia. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for the invitation. It's a great pleasure to be here today discussing with Razvan and Alin. Concerning education, I think that right now we have a huge problem in education nowadays. If we look to all the transformation that is happening outside of school, my great concern is that education today is not able to answer the main challenge and not able to prepare for the opportunities that are being created. Saying this, the question here, if you look to education, we can see that almost nothing changed in education. I will not say only in the last decades, but if you take a look when the first industrial revolution and the way that school was designed, of course, we have different transformations. We have different learning theories and so on. But if you go inside of a school and you look at the school as a building and you look at the school as the way that is organized, even inside of the classroom, there is a lot of things that need to be changed. Mainly in the times that we are looking about all these kinds of change, and we can clearly see that we are losing our last exclusivity as human beings, that is in terms of intelligence. So nowadays is not only technology that is replacing the human muscle, but is also replaced in terms of our capabilities that we consider as unique in terms of our intelligence. So the pillars that support education in the last decades, they are not able to answer all these challenges Of course, there is traditional things that we cannot just put aside because they are keeping and really need to be in terms of the defined educational systems. We know that our students, they need to learning to know, learning to be, learning to live together. But the main question today is a question of opportunity. In the last decades, if a school was not able to well prepare a young person, there was a lots of jobs that don't need this high level of competence, and they will be, let's say, introduced in terms of this. But nowadays, what we are looking is that these kind of jobs, they are being wiped out. So if the schools don't prepare the students with the skills that really need in terms of all this, and mainly the digital transformation, what will be happen to all these young students? For example, we can take what Harari says, that with this transformation, we are creating what could be a useless class. So no, it's not a question of surviving, it's a question that you are not useful anymore, because we have these smart and intelligent systems that they can easily replace what they used to be this kind of jobs. So I think one of the most important pillars in education today is opportunity, equal opportunity for everybody in the context that we are living today.
I know you are also involved in the policy-making level. What has to change for the Educational Act to generate value to all stakeholders?
One of the questions in terms of policy making and in terms of the different stakeholders what are looking today is that the educational system need more and more input for different stakeholders and not the usual one in terms of the way that they design education. So it's very important that we have this input and this feedback, so school can open and not be hermetic and closed for the outside. We know that educational systems, they are very difficult in terms of adapt. Normally, I give this metaphor. I see the educational system as these big ships, these oil tankers. If you want to make a change in your path, is very difficult. And we need small boats, the fast ones, that really can be and adapt about what are the needs. So more interface between external stakeholders and the schools. The schools need to open themselves in terms what happened of the external context. And this is something that normally is being done, but the true change in education happens inside of the classroom, in the relationship between student and student, in the relationship between teacher and student. And the main guide in terms of education is one thing that is called curriculum. And curriculum is about the contents, is about the pedagogy, is about the strategies, about the process. So you could have lots of very interesting initiatives and projects between external stakeholders. But if one thing doesn't change, and that is the curriculum, maybe we will not only impact, let's say 10 or 5% of the students. And as I said before, one of the pillars should be opportunity. So this is something that needs more to be mandatory than only an option. And I think we need, as I was saying, more of this, but at the same time, really change what is important.
Taking what you said regarding changing the curricula, what are the challenges you came across when advocating for introducing AI in the classroom?
I put this in different levels. One level is what we call university education. I'm being advocated the need in pre-university education, mainly in the K-12 educational system. We know that AI is really changing our lives. Not only AI, we are living something like a perfect storm and other different technologies, IoT, quantum computing, big data, on all this blockchain also. And what happens is when this is integrated in our lives, we don't call it anymore artificial intelligence. It's just another technology that we are using. If you are looking at our smartphone, it is completely full of AI and all the text associated with AI. The question here is, most of the people are using that and they don't have any clue about what is happening. And these intelligent systems, they are taking decisions in behalf of us, and we really don't understand what is happening there. Another question, when we talk about artificial intelligence and education, we have mainly three different topics. We have one is about learning AI, and this is the need of the K-12 educational systems to have options, courses that related with AI. So the future engineers of AI are already starting to get some preparation, not only AI, in the other technologies I was saying. Another thing, another topic is learning for AI. So we have to prepare our students to live in a world that will be very impacted by AI. And another topic is learning with AI. So this is all the platforms and the tools that are developed using these technologies associated with AI, machine learning, and so on. And what we are seeing is most of these technologies for learning with AI that will be integrated in the learning and in teaching process, they are supported in the old pedagogical process and in the old pedagogical strategies. So they mainly just pick up the student, put them in front of a screen, put them a headphone, and we have this black box that is deciding the path, the learning path for the students. And we need AI to transform education and not AI to augment the old school. That is the main topics that I'm advocating in terms of AI in education.
Thank you, Marco. I would move now to art, and I would ask Razvan, how open is the art field to use automation on one hand, and how much is technology part of the art education curriculum?
Now, first of all, let me say I deeply apologize if I'm not quite keen on my explanation, because it's I have a fever, but I still wanted to be part of this excellent conference, and again, congratulating the people in Bucharest for doing this fantastic job. I do not agree with the fact AI should not augment the classical education. I mean, as a professor, and I was a professor in different parts of the world, I think all technology should augment the classic type. So for me, for example, now I'm writing a thesis which is called augmented education. So basically, we should use technology inside of the classical type of education, because we cannot change it. I mean, even if we want to, I mean, the education is different. Here in Vienna, it's a type of education. In Bucharest, it's a different type of education, or in Helsinki. But we should augment this type of education with more. So mixing somehow, so people will come more keen to the idea of education, the young people. And I think sometimes as a professor, we forget about our students. We just think about what we want to do. And let's say art give us the opportunity not to have an end point. We work on Jarvis, the first AI curator in the history, because we do not have an end. We don't need to have a successful product at the end. We just propose academical models who leads to a practical model in time. So basically, now we have an AI who learns from us. So it's a very interesting exchange. And my team, because it's not me, it's my team. I would never been able to do this on myself. Our CTO, Razvan, our COO, which is Bogdan Matei, and some other people which are together in this team, what we try to is to progress together with Jarvis, with our AI. So basically, we don't face an automation project, we face a learning project. We learn from Jarvis, Jarvis learns from us. So Jarvis can curate anything. I mean, 20 years ago, I remember people doesn't even know what a curator was. Didn't know what a curator was. Now I see everything is curated. Even this conference is curated. Maybe Jarvis will curate the next edition of this EY conference. So all these things learn us to be more human. I think AI learns us to be more human. So education should be augmented, but by what we do and not trying to change it radically. Of course, it's a need of radical change of education, but we cannot do it.
I would actually ask you, what is the difference do you see between software that produces art and software that curates it? I think it would be interesting for more of a business community that are participating to this conference to understand. And also, how do you see which one is more easily accepted by humans?
That's a very extensive question.
I know.
It will take me an hour. I mean, imagine in my MA, people learn how to be a curator for 3 years. So how long do you have to explain? Now, the difference is between an AI curator and an art producer, let's say, an artist. It's the same difference like in humans. A curator, it's the people who organize, write the concept, organize the exhibition, put everything together inside the concept, choose the artist, and so on. And the artist is the producer, let's say, of the artwork. So I think there is no acceptance for. We cannot call acceptance to anything at this moment. Do you hear me? Because I can't see you anymore.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I wanted to enhance the question also. How do you see the art community? How do you plan to encourage the art community to accept the adoption of such technologies?
It's the same like the rest of the society. It's the same questions. I saw some of your esteemed guests today and yesterday talking about the people who says, "Oh, we will lose our job, AI coming to us," but people doesn't know the difference between AI general and AI narrow. So the fact is, nobody lose anything. Actually, we augment our power to choose, create, and acknowledge the world around us. It's not easy. I mean, let's face it. When we announced the Jarvis, we had like, I don't know, 58 or 60 publications around the world written exclusively about Jarvis, and it was a big boom for us. But the second thing, it's art community, because it's like entire society responded in a very weird way. I mean, they are afraid their jobs will be in jeopardy, their jobs, I mean, how we will work with. But think and imagine the fact how we evolve because artificial intelligence. Let's put it this way. Jarvis was initially a butler, yes? I mean, the people who are listening to us, they will understand easily this. If you remember the comic books from our childhood, who liked comic books? If not the movies of Iron Man. Jarvis was initially a butler, a social category which we tend to miss in our travel through life. Yeah? So slowly, in comic books, in films, and in everything, Jarvis becomes an AI. The butler disappears, and AI becomes the protector of humankind. So I think, from my point of view, sounds a little bit pathetic, but I think artificial intelligence now it's meant to protect the humankind, not to attack the humankind.
Thank you, Razvan. I would also move to Alin and ask him maybe some basic question. What is your definition of blockchain, and what do you see as the most common misconceptions when it comes about this technology?
Thank you very much. I believe the most common misconceptions about blockchain are blockchain is slow. Blockchain can create huge loss of money if you're not experienced in trading. Blockchain can be used to deal, I don't know, illegal products. These are the most misconceptions about a technology, which actually it's an infrastructure, and it's a huge confusion between what is an infrastructure and what is an application or a service which use that particular infrastructure. Almost everybody in the last 3-4 years, they have confused blockchain with cryptocurrencies, which somehow it's normal because cryptocurrencies were actually the first applications using the blockchain technology. So if we have to do a parallel, I would say that internet might be the infrastructure, and I don't know, email or web applications might be services or applications which are using this infrastructure. In the same way, blockchain is a technology, and the cryptocurrencies, as well as many other products or software products, are applications which use this piece of tech.
Thank you for clarifying. Yeah.
In my opinion, blockchain is a technology which brings a lot of concepts about trust. Blockchain is a technology which enables several parties to communicate, to participate in operating different software products. But most important thing about blockchain is the fact that it brings immutability, security, transparency to all the data and all the flows that we are using in daily activities in software products. Obviously not now in daily activities, but hopefully soon enough. It's the technology which basically offer us the possibility to be transparent to each other, to cooperate one with each other, but in the same time in a very secure environment.
Thank you. Can you give some example of use cases that we have seen for blockchain in art or education?
In education, a very good application would be by storing the historical activities of a student in the blockchain. Why not storing the certificate or the diploma? In which case we could avoid all these scenarios where some people, after one night, they suddenly become student of a reputed university. In art, it's even simpler. Art is subject to copyright. Art is subject of innovative ideas, of expressing feelings, and somehow it's important to have a log, an immutable log of who was the first to have such idea. So I would use blockchain to let's say store schemes, maybe drawings, maybe sounds, or whatever is considered art, in order just to clarify who was maybe the first in having an innovative idea in this domain. But blockchain technology, it's applicable in many ways, in many domains. So these are just some thoughts.
Talking about the skills needed to work
May
with...
I say?
Yeah,
Oh,
go.
sorry.
Yes,
Sorry.
of course.
No,
Yes,
I just
Razvan,
wanted
please.
to say because I just discovered the fact just before this intervention, me and Alin, we've been together again and again. It seems like it's a pattern in these two in this kind of conferences. So I've been with Alin in Mind Chain. So we discussed about blockchain, AI, and art. So I would like to advise everyone who wants to see how blockchain, AI, and art is working. It's a very old already piece of art is called Plantoid. And Plantoid was made by an Italian woman, an Italian artist, and she did a fantastic job with Plantoid, showing us how blockchain, AI, and art can work together.
Thank you, Razvan. I wanted to ask Alin, because we talk about skills, and I wanted to ask him how people learn about the skills needed to work with blockchain, and how do you see your role in educating the market?
Blockchain, it's a backend technology, so it's not a technology which we all have to learn. You don't have to learn it necessarily. It's important to know that the software product you are using, it's based on blockchain technology, so maybe you have a little bit of more trust. But when it comes to learning the technology, this is mostly a technical job. It belongs to programmers. If you want to learn about blockchain, you have several options. First of all, it would be to search on Google. How do I start learn about blockchain? But I'm a fan of this technology, but I also like to teach, and I'm getting personally involved in a lot of teaching activities. Our company has a partnership with Romanian Polytechnica, which is a technical university, where we also have a master class in teaching blockchain to students. We also partner up with Economic Academy in Romania, where we will have some teachings about blockchain as well, but not only. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm doing my best to be to spread the knowledge as much as possible, but altogether this technology is to be learned by developers, not by regular users.
Thank you. I would ask a question to all of you. Which are the skills that you consider most relevant for the future, and how can these skills can be developed? Maybe we start with you, Marco. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So there is different kind of skills, and I was listening to Razvan, and there was one thing that I agree with him. So we had pick up in terms of AI and transformed it as augmented intelligence, or augmented our intelligence. So this we have to look at AI and how it can be used in terms of help us solve all the huge problems that we are facing today. And in terms of competence, that's nowadays we are talking so much about soft skills and all the social and the human skills that will make the difference between we and all these machines that are being built. And if we pay attention in terms of education, we have been talking a lot about the 21st century competences. And we sometimes forget that we are already in the 2020 year, okay? And we keep talking that we need to integrate the 21st century competence in educational system. That should be something that should not be talking right now, because it should be transparent. And we talk about creativity, we talk about collaboration, I talk about complex problem solving, we are talking about communication, and of course we need our students to be apply in terms of curiosity also, and in terms of resilience, because the things that we have and that were easily understood for us as a generation, we are mainly the last generation that will know what is the meaning of a job for a life. We are maybe the last generation that will know what offline means. So once again, and that's the point that I don't agree with Razvan, is that the classic education and the classic educational systems are not the answer for the needs and the challenge of today. And once again, and I say this repeatedly, only with curriculum transformation we can change the educational systems in the way that they provide the competence and the skills that the students need today. And of course, this is something from external stakeholders in terms of schools. Nowadays, no one could ask you about your academic degree. They just want to know what you can do, what the things that you learn. So the idea that you just go for school at the age of 6, and then you go make all your pathway, and then you take an academic degree, and that is enough because you're going to have a job for a life and maybe a family and a dog and all these kind of things. This is changed rapidly. And that's why I advocate that's really needed in terms of transformation. Of course, this kind of competence and frameworks have been updated faster than ever, because things are happening faster than ever. So this is a question in terms of discussion, and this is a passion in terms of discussion, and maybe we could have another day just to discuss in terms of the educational needs.
Correct.
But
correct.
for me, the key competence and skill that the students need today.
Thank you, Marco. Razvan, what is your view on the skills for the future?
Marco is right. This is for another day. I mean, probably I can debate with him for a very long time about what we can do. But essentially, me and Marco, we have the same perception of the system. The system should be changed. It doesn't matter in his. I mean, basically, we talk about the same thing. The educational system should be changed. And the academical system should be changed in a way in Romania, in another way in Helsinki, in Finland. Because if you look at, I mean, what we need to see is how people perceive things. If we think about how Finnish people perceive education and how Bulgarian people perceive education. So what we can do, and people will praise us, is to do an excellent job trying to see what they need. And from my point of view, technology, it's about what we need. It's not about what we want to do. Then, of course, you can invent an AI who bombs countries, but on the other hand, we can invent an AI to drive I don't know, a plane to rocket to Mars. So it depends how you see things.
Very interesting. Very interesting point. I would also ask Alin about the skills of the future. How do you see them from the entrepreneur and the developer perspective?
I would like to make a short comparison. In my country, sometimes winter comes earlier. Let's say it snows in November. And every time the politician says it got them under surprise. It happens to say the same thing when the first snow comes in February. So I believe the same thing happened with education today. Of course, it was accelerated, the opinion, by this pandemic situation. But I believe that in the next few years, we have to be very serious about training our kids how to learn for themselves. Because the stuff which is taught in school, it's underrated. It's old school already. There are a lot of technologies, and not only technologies, a lot of researches, a lot of new things to be learned, which are coming out there in one day, which more than they study in 12 years. So we have to be ready to teach our kids how to learn and educate themselves in order to be able to choose their own way to these vast possibilities of education which are out there. That's what I believe.
Thank you. I think this is very interesting that you brought this into discussion, because during this lockdown, we all realized that kids actually, they are already working with all the tools that we worked only in the, after graduating. They already know to connect to Microsoft Teams and to work in PowerPoint and so on. Indeed, this is fast tracking. I would ask a last question to all of you. What legacy do you want to create through your work? Just to be in the same line with the whole theme of the conference. So, Marco, I would invite you first.
It's not a question of legacy. It's many in terms of the ideas that I advocate, and I think that they need to be applied in terms, for example, what Alin was saying, more important than everything, and I work with students every day, is I want them to be able to learn by themselves. So they have to know. If you go again in terms of education and in terms that you access information nowadays, and not the way that you access information nowadays, because this become with the advent of internet, the way that all this information is available and the way that you access the type of information that allows you to create knowledge and from then allow us to make in terms of a difference. Once again, I will go back for the first question that you gave me, is the question of opportunity. And when I say in question of opportunity, there is lots of other things that are connected with this. It's not only the educational system. We know that most of European countries, they are supported in terms of public educational systems that have as a major goal to give opportunity to all the students. But this is more deeper. This is a question of social context, is a question of economical context. And in my way, what I really like is all the students, doesn't matter the school or the country that I live, they have the opportunity to be prepared for the challenge of today, so they can be able to grab the opportunities of today and not be trained and prepared for what was the past. So what worked for me as a student will not work for my students. And I think this is the message that I really like to let in terms of the work that I develop.
Thank you, Marco. Razvan, from your perspective?
Well, I don't know. I mean, thank you for the question. I never thought about my legacy. So, you know, now I'm looking back and I feel old. I mean, when you see you are beginning to have 51 years old, it's different from 30 for sure. So I don't want my students to be prepared for tomorrow, for today, for yesterday, for, I don't know, for March, for moon, I don't want my students to be prepared for anything. I want my students to be able exactly to do what I'm teaching, critical thinking. So I hope where I was in my life, and I was living in many places and doing many things in my life, not only teaching, I think it's very important to challenge people to think, to challenge people to creative thinking. And I strongly believe it's exactly what you do in this conference. I mean, you make people think in another way, creative thinking. I mean, what can we do with what we have? I don't want to think about past, future. I don't even know what future is. Yesterday, Vienna was a very empty city. Today, Vienna, it's 1,000 empty from COVID, I mean, and today it's 1,000 cases. So I don't know what's the future. So how do I prepare people for today, tomorrow, or yesterday? Maybe I can just raise some questions. And I think this is our thing to do with what we do, even now, right now in this conference, raising questions, making people to think in a different way, and critical thinking is extremely important. So I hope when people will mention me in the future, if that will happen, to mention me in the way of this guy just made us critical thinking.
Thank you. Indeed, it raised some questions for for all of us. Alin, the same question for you.
Legacy, it sounds like something which is looking in the past, and I like to believe that us humans, we are always looking forward. We are all, our species, a very curious one, and this curiosity is actually what drives us to innovation and to do more and more and more. In my opinion, I think we should focus on what's coming next, and we should leave to our kids to see if we were able to do something good or bad, and they should judge if our legacy, if there is one, is good of anything.
Thank you. Any last thought from you on the overall what you heard in the conference, or knowing that it is a panel with a mix of experiences and ideas, and it's probably we can continue as you also mentioned, Razvan, to debate maybe one day or more for any of the topics.
But that's the main point. This is, I mean, this is why I acknowledge the team of EY and the technical team and everybody who put this together, because putting this kind of thing together is just what we need right now. I mean, we need to keep fresh, to keep our mind. Honestly, 25% I just wrote today of the population of the world are depressive because of the pandemic. We have to do something. I mean, of course, we are sick about teaching for 8-9 months online. I mean, but let's move, let's do something, let's solve the problem. Our grandfathers and grandmothers solved the problem 100 years ago, so we can do it. I mean, I think we have to end with Pink Floyd.
Yes. I wanted to thank you for participating in this panel, and I know you have a lot of ideas to share, and I look forward to see your posts in media. I noticed you are very active in media also. I think I wanted to thank you for contributing to this mission of exploring the art of the possible, and also how automation can contribute and can connect to various themes around education, around art, innovation, and of course combining with new emerging technologies like blockchain to move forward in exactly this idea that we wanted to encourage all the participants to act as we need to move forward. Thank you for your participation, and I will be back in 2 minutes with the closing. Thank you.
Thank you, Aurelia.
Thank you.
Thank you.